Good evening and welcome to Ben TV. My name is Priscilla. This evening I have with me the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Strategies, none other than Mr. Oronto Douglas. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening, viewers.
Thank you.
Yes.
First and foremost, congratulations to the President and President-elect on the victory in this election.
Thank you. I will pass your congratulations to him, but actually the congratulations should go to all Nigerians because we all made it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, very quickly, INEC, before the elections we had issues, postponement, bombing. How was it possible for them to be able to achieve what is now being spoken of as free, fair, credible?
I think that credit should go to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, for arriving at the position of electing or appointing people of credibility into the Independent National Electoral Commission. Indeed. Appointing Jega and his men, who are people of unblemished pedigree, to man an institution that will ensure that the leadership recruitment processes of our country are credible in a way that those who come to govern us are people that had a mandate of the Nigerian people. So we need to give credit to who credit is due. President Jonathan gets the credit, Jega and his team also get the credit. And then above all, credit to the Nigerian people for insisting that their vote must count. Now, the elections were postponed because Jega felt that things have to be done well. And in that postponement, he was able to perfect the elections in a way that by the time the National Assembly elections came, people applauded. The presidential elections came, the whole world applauded. The diplomatic community, observers, various governments across the world have hailed elections as free, fair, and credible. And it is because the individuals who man it are people you cannot bribe, are people you cannot influence, are people who believe that the spirit, the power of the ballot must prevail over the power of the bullet and authoritarianism. And I think that we've taken a very bold step to ensure that Nigeria arrive.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. Now, immediately after the elections, unfortunately, there was some violence in the north. The president had promised that all those who are found to perpetrate violence, he was going to ensure that justice is brought to them. What is he doing right now to ensure that that doesn't continue?
Well, you see, Nigeria is a very diverse country, and Mr. President knows that, and Mr. President had embarked on an all-inclusive policy of bringing everybody together under one roof. Those who protested on the streets, they are being listened to. And the way to listen to them is to avail every single person the opportunity of going to court to prove his case. We are a nation that must be guided by the rule of law. And Mr. President had opened, created that avenue for ensuring that the rule of law prevails. I personally, I don't believe in religious violence to express a grievance. We've got to be peaceful, we've got to be non-violent in our activities. And I am sure that those who are perpetrating these acts of violence, they know that the path they have taken is not the path that will keep our country together. It's not a path that will advance us to the next level of development. It's not a path that will make other nations respect us. Such a beautiful, such a wonderful election is now being tainted by the report of violence. And I think it is not good for Nigeria. We've got to find a solution, and that solution is being found by the unanimity of all Nigerians saying we've got to get it right. And we've taken a bold step to get it right. You see, we shouldn't forget, America, 250 years of America's democracy, they still had the Florida Shard vote. But people didn't go to the street to burn houses, to burn churches, to kill people, burn mosques, and so on. They didn't do that. They took Al Gore. Remember Al Gore and Bush? You know, Al Gore had to go to court. And at the end of the day, the Supreme Court had to take a position. That is what people, Nigerians should do. That is what the leading contenders in this election should do. A resort to violence, you know, should not be what should help us to move forward.
That's right. So, but what are the steps taken to protect the innocent in the north?
The key thing here is that the security forces are being encouraged to ensure that the rule of law prevails. You see, there's a way you deploy security forces and they could become unhelpful to the situation. So a civilized way of doing that, Mr. President, being a man of peace, had insisted that the right thing be done. Security forces be deployed to ensure that there is peace, to protect the innocent, to protect the populace, so that we do not have to go to the level where our own people are killed. I'm talking of the Nigerian people. Ordinary Nigerians are celebrating in their homes that we have arrived, that for the first time their votes counted. And where there are imperfect areas, they can be corrected through the rule of law, through accessing the court and ensuring that those areas are corrected. It's unfortunate that the violence that had erupted in parts of the country, attempted to taint our sweet, the sweet soup of our democracy. We will ensure by our collective work, all Nigerians, wherever they are, that such does not happen again.
Thank you. You mentioned focus on education. The education system at the moment is quite dilapidated. What exactly will the president be doing to be able to bring that up, to restore it back to the standards that it once had?
Well, fortunately for us, we have had the opportunity of seeing Mr. President at work in the last 9 months.
Okay.
And in the last 9 months, he was able to bring education as #1 priority. Before now, the budgeting system in Nigeria had focused attention on defense, on all other things, not taking education, which is the key to all of this, to every other item in the budget. It is education. For the first time, education is #1. And he had proceeded to say, look, it is not just putting education as #1 in terms of budgeting, but what effort have we done to ensure that education is on the right track? Remember when he came in, there was this mass failure in WAEC and NECO. And he said, look, we can't continue this way. So he summoned a national summit on education. And for 2 days, brought in experts, the old men and women that were key in keeping our educational standard at high level in the olden days, and the new ones, and to come together to brainstorm as to how we need to go. They came up with a recommendation. He then proceeded to set up a task force to review the recommendation, and then a plan of action was put in place. The result is, one, there's more money being sent to the old universities. 9 new universities have now been set up. And the reason for those 9 universities to allow for access and quality. It is not just establishing the universities. The university being established, the 9 universities being established now, will not be the big university. They will be small campus universities focused on specific areas of expertise, so that they will take it step by step, and then looking at access and quality. And they are distributed to states. We are a federation. These new universities were distributed to states that have no universities. So students, our citizens, will have access. Less than 10% of Nigerians who want to go to school have access to university education. So a lot of the privileged people then come to England, they go to America, and so on. But the vast majority of the people in Nigeria don't have access. So Dr. Jonathan is saying that every Nigerian must have access to education if that person wants to go to school. And the kind of education is not just the formal one. There is also the issue of the skill ones in terms of training, technical skills for our people.
You've spoken a lot about the higher education. How about the lower level of education?
Kindergarten education especially is now receiving a lot of attention, not just at the federal level, but states like Rivers State, Bayelsa, and a couple of states have been encouraged to look at the whole question of kindergarten education. I know the work of what the Rivers State government and through the wife and the governor are doing in terms of kindergarten education, where they have gone around the whole local government and established kindergarten schools with a view to getting the kids into school. So when their parents are out there farming and fishing, the children are warehoused in kindergarten schools and they are being taught. Those processes are slow, but in the next 5 to 10 years, I am sure that the whole of the country will key into it. Right now, kindergarten schools are only being enjoyed by people who have access to money, the privileged few, but governments like those that I've mentioned are now trying to democratize that through charity processes and so on. And I think that we are getting there.
Good. You mentioned also earlier about power. Now, the president has also said that he will give us more. By the end of this year, we are to expect more where power is concerned. What specifically is more? What will he be doing more?
Well, you see, under the previous government, there was the NIPP, the Independent Power Project, National Independent Power Project, that were put in place. Now, Dr. Jonathan came in and said the time has come for all these projects to come on stream. So he moved in to ensure that contractors and individuals that have anything to do in IPP deliver on what arrangements and agreement that have been reached. He then proceeded to go to Lagos and launch the power roadmap. Right. That was launched, and as we speak, the implementation processes are on. Power, I don't like to put statistics to it, but there have been reports of improvement of power in various parts of the country. It's not enough. Marginal improvement, but it is a foundation that we need to move to the next level. And I believe that in the next 24 months, the situation in the power sector will be very salutary enough for Nigerians to say we are seeing a difference. So processes are on, and I believe that with the current effort being put in place, we should be begin to say that our power situation is coming to stabilize.
Right, okay. Now, moving a little bit away from, that aspect of things, the president had promised, again, that he will give 35% of ministerial and ambassadorial roles to women, should he be elected again as president. Again, I ask the question, how does he intend to achieve this? Because within our society, women have been marginalized. It's a very male-dominated society. How do you think the men will, is it something that the men within the party will welcome, and including those within government? How will he go about this?
See, Mr. President keeps his promises. Whatever promise he makes, he keeps. Okay. Now, what he said was that 35% of non-elective position.
That's right.
He did not specify only, didn't mention ministerial or ambassadorial, non-elective, meaning that is a cumulative thing, and it is as a political party, and if he speaks for the PDP that he heads, it means from the local government through the state to the federal, the percentage of appointive position will be 35%. So if you put all of them together, you'll find that any position that is appointed, whether they are commissioners or they are ministerial, ambassadorial, or special assistant, senior special assistant, all those positions put together is what will make the 35%. So it is not just 35% of ministers, 35% of ambassadors, it is all of it. If you put everything together, if it is 100%, 35% of the totality of the appointments will go to women. He has made that promise, and he's going to keep it.
Excellent. So what you're telling me today, or what you're telling the viewers equally, is that this 35% will be made up right from the grassroots all the way right through to the very top.
That is what it's supposed to be, and that is what the vision of the president is. But he has no control over the appointment at the state. He has no control over the appointment at the local government. He has control over the appointment at the federal level. Remember, we operate a federal system of government.
That's right.
And as the head of the federal government, as president, and as a leader of the party, he has responsibility to inform all other tiers of government that this is a position of the party, and we need to implement it. And I believe Mr. President will implement his own part.
Okay, thank you. Because my next question was going to be, how does he plan to police the local government and as well as the governors to ensure that they take on, the issue of...
I think the governors and local government chairmen will toe the party line, because the time has come for womanhood to take its rightful place in the scheme of things. If you, I come from a place where inheritance is maternal, so we sort of focus attention on womanhood. If you support the woman, the society will be better. So if we support the woman through empowerment, through these appointive offices or economic empowerment or whatever empowerment that can be made, you are empowering the family, you are empowering the community, you are empowering the nation. Mr. President knows that, and it is in this regard that he has taken it upon himself to insist that womanhood be put at the center of our governance strategy. Because if we do that, then the rest will become easier for all of us.
Okay, thank you. I take you now to the diaspora Nigerian. I, for one, and I know from those that I speak to, are very, very concerned about the issues in Nigeria. People are also very interested in wanting to be a part of what is happening in Nigeria. How does this administration plan on including the diaspora in Nigeria? First of all, the primary question we have is, can we vote and when?
Well, let me begin by informing you that Mr. President is already responding to diaspora requests for participation in governance, for opening the governance space to ensure that the skills of the diasporans are brought back home. I'll give you an example. When he established the 9 universities, out of the 9 vice chancellors, 3 or 4, about 3 or 4 of the vice chancellors were sourced from the diaspora. You know, so you already have that template that the diaspora, with its huge population and talent, must not be ignored in the scheme of things. Now, a run-up a couple of months ago, about 200 or 300 diasporans came from America on a visit to Nigeria. They toured the country, they visited places, and they came to pay a courtesy call on Mr. President. And he made a firm promise. He said, look, this time the diaspora may not be able to vote, but by 2015, he will ensure that every diasporan is given the opportunity to cast his or her vote for whoever he wants to govern Nigeria. Now, the reason for the delay is because the processes of getting this on will have to go through the National Assembly. And you know, bills take time to get perfected. And he felt that it would be too short to put a bill into the National Assembly and get results and allow the diaspora to vote within a month or 2 that the process allowed. So as we speak, as soon as Mr. President is inaugurated on the 29th of May, among the earliest bills that will be going to the National Assembly, with the bill that will allow for diasporans to be able to vote in Nigeria's election. He made that promise to the diasporans when they came on a courtesy visit. He made that same promise when he visited Gabon as part of their independence celebration, and he was addressing Nigerians there. He told them they will vote by 2015. He repeated that same promise in Ethiopia when we went for the AU meeting. So at every stop, Mr. President had realized that no nation can ever develop or advance without tapping into these diaspora resources. And Nigerians are some of the most talented, bravest, boldest group of people on earth. And we cannot afford to ignore such a vibrant population with this huge talent that are scattered around the world. We need the diaspora population to move our country forward. If you look at even the campaigns on the internet and elsewhere, the activism of the diaspora, so whether it is on Facebook or any of the social networking site, was very vibrant and huge. And you can test, you can feel it when Mr. President was declared winner, how the jubilation that followed on the internet and elsewhere, that Nigerians have arrived. And the diasporans contributed to that victory. Nobody can take that away from them. Of course, there were some that were on the side, that were on the side of his opponent, but Mr. President is the president of Nigeria. He's not president of one section or one group. Whether you voted for the president or not, he will have to do justice to all Nigerians.
That's right. Thank you for that. So then, you know, we're all included. How are there any inroads that are being created for the diaspora that would like to come back home? Many a times the issues are that, you know, we don't know how to, you know, navigate when we get home and what happens. Any inroads? Is there a special officer somewhere, anybody that they can speak to, anything?
Yes. About 2 months or so ago, a desk was created, and an SSA was appointed for diaspora population. That desk has been created. So because the first thing is to look at the institution. Is there an institution that will help the diaspora? So that has been set up. And it has been headed by Mrs. Ojukwu, who was appointed as SSA on Diaspora and Affairs. So that first step is there. The second step, and like I've always told my friends in the diaspora, if you are thinking of coming home, do not rush home. You should begin with 1 step at home and 1 step in the diaspora, and then take a gradual, systematic movement home, you know, so that you don't just move, because the conditions you live with in London, in Washington, in Houston, or in Boston are not the same conditions in Lagos, in Kano, in Yenagua, or in Benin. The conditions are different. So you've got to take a systematic and gradual, but a determined focus to go home by beginning with 1 step at home and 1 step in London or wherever you are based, and then systematically begin to pull yourself through. And with the institution now being put in place, and with the governance spaces being opened, and with the opportunities that will be emerging, it will be easier to transit. Nigeria needs the diasporan talent. Nigeria needs its huge energy and vision to be able to contribute to that transition, that transformation that we are all marching towards.
Thank you very much, sir. My last question. We've seen that the president is very all-inclusive during his campaign and during his time. How does he plan to continue that during, his term in office? From some quarters, I have heard people say, well, how are you going to bring in the Northerner? How are you going to bring in the Igbo man, the Hausa man, which is a Northerner, the Southerner? How are you going to infuse us all together? How does Mr. President plan to do this?
Well, I think that you've got to. The Igbos have this proverb that a chick that will grow into a cock will be recognized the day it is hatched. Now, what is there to show that this president is an all-inclusive president? When he came into office, you look at the kind of appointments he made. He picked Jega, a man of integrity and excellence from the north, and made him INEC chairman. He picked Ihejerika and made him Chief of Army Staff. He picked he's from the East. He picked Professor Afolabi and made him head of the Civil Service of the Federation. He picked Kayode and made him Defense Minister. I'm just giving some of these examples to tell you that this is an all-inclusive and all-embracing president. Before Kayode, no Yoruba man had ever been Defense Minister in Nigeria. Before Afolabi, the last person that was head of civil service was Adeyemi Lawson in 1964. Before Ihejerika, the last Igbo man that was chief of army staff was Agi Ronsi 44 years ago. Before Jega, you could go on and on to show that this president does not have anything to hide. He's an all-inclusive president that believes that every Nigerian has a right to take up a position or appointment based on merit. So that inclusivity of Mr. President is there. And again, he's God-conscious, he's God-fearing. A leader who is God-conscious and God-fearing will respect the rights of all men and women, will respect the rights of citizens. And because he's a man who has no enemies to fight, and he has said that again and again, that I have no enemies to fight, you are all my friends. He said in the campaign trail that no ambition is worth any Nigerian blood. Don't rig for me, don't kill for me. He is on a mission. You see, I have said again and again that Dr. Jonathan is a pen in the hands of God that have been set to right historic wrongs for all of us. And we've just got to rally around him in a way that will do glory to God's name and to the people of Nigeria. And I believe north or south, east or west, Christian or Muslim, animist or non-religious person, the time has come for us to rally around a leader that has no axe to grind with anyone, that believes that we are all one people, we are all in one country, and we must now move from that downtrodden state where other nations ridicule us, look down on us, to a position where we'll have respect. And the first place to start is to ensure that the leadership recruitment process that allow leaders to emerge through credible elections are perfected. And we have taken that bold step to perfect all the imperfections. It may not, what happened last Saturday may not be 100%. And like I tell people, even older democracies like the United States, you still have Florida shard votes, Gore and Bush slugging it out, and at the end of the day, it was saying that some of the votes were wrongly done and so on. Yet Americans don't go into the street burning houses, killing people and so on. They came together and then get their democracy to decide. The rule of law prevails. So I have come to the conclusion that Nigeria and Nigerians have the capacity to resolve their issues in a way that will do justice to all. The disturbances and the killings that happened in the north, I believe that Nigerians, we are going to go over it, and we are going to come out stronger, more united, and more focused, and we are going to progress under Dr. Ebele Jonathan.
The question of security, I can't leave without asking, what is Mr. President going to do about security? It's been an issue that has plagued the country for so long.
security is a matter for all Nigerians. It is important that we all are committed to security in our various little ways. But Mr. President swore to an oath to defend and protect all Nigerians. And it is his responsibility. The buck stops on his table. And that is why he's taking it very seriously. Let's look at the most popular means of creating insecurity today, throwing bombs. From about when was Delegiwa killed? 1986. From 1986 to date, there have been over 40 or 50 bomb blasts in Nigeria. Now, in all of those bomb blasts, from that 1986 October, when Delegiwa was killed, a journalist like yourself, was blown up in Lagos, to date, only under Dr. Jonathan have people been arrested and have been prosecuted. In every other situation, the people that perpetrated this act vanished into thin air. Under Dr. Jonathan, he says, no, if you commit a crime, you must go in for it. Security agencies have been empowered to investigate. It's like in England. You commit a crime, even if it takes 20 years, 30 years to go after you, the security services will go after you. And the example Dr. Jonathan is putting in place is that in Nigeria, if you commit a crime, it does not matter whether it is 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, security forces will go after you, and if you are caught, you'll be brought to justice. That is a lesson being given in the present day Nigeria. And I think we are on course. It may be difficult at this moment, but certainly it's going to be very wonderful in the next few years.
Indeed. What should Nigerians in diaspora, in Nigeria, look forward to in the Jonathan Sambo administration?
Under Jonathan Sambo, we were going to, our commitment to building a united, stronger, progressive Nigeria is on course, because Jonathan will open up the governance space in a way that democracy will be consolidated, in a way that the rule of law will prevail, in a way that individuals who commit crime will not go unpunished. That is the essence. The focus on the youths and children to create jobs for our people, to focus on education, to focus on health, to focus on those things that matter to ordinary people, not to the elite alone, but the ordinary people. Food on the table, access to health, education for the children. These are the issues that will engage the hearts and minds of Dr. Jonathan and all those that are working under him. Anything short of that will be a disappointment to the Nigerian people. And Dr. Jonathan has said he will never let Nigerians down. And he is insisting that he's going to do his best to move our country to the next level.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. You've been watching
Thank
a very
you.
special program with the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Dr. Oronto Douglas, giving us an insight into what we're likely to look forward to. My name is Priscilla. Thank you for watching. Good night.